So this is a story of poker, the Beach Boys, Pablo Escobar, and how it all went down that fabled day back in 1978. So I'd been in and around music most of my life, and I'd heard rumors about the Beach Boys being kidnapped one time by Pablo Escobar, their drug dealer, because they hadn't paid. It was just talk and hearsay. There was never any real proof. As you know, I played poker, both professionally and semi-professionally, for 30 years. I used to play at the Grand Casino in Tunica most every day. Every now and then I would play at the Horseshoe. One day I was playing Horseshoe in the big game, maybe 20-40 limit or something. And there was a new player at the table. This is maybe 2004, 2005, something like that. His name was Sandy. It was very interesting getting to know him because he said he'd retired there from Los Angeles where he'd been in music. I guess he'd been a music attorney or something. So he was in music, so I got to talking to him. As it turns out, he said he'd been the assistant road manager for the Beach Boys for a while, and he was there when they were kidnapped. So apparently it was late 1978, October the 26th, and the Beach Boys were preparing for a brand new tour. As so, they wanted to get to the tour location a day early. So they met at a private airfield in Southern California. When Sandy got there, he got on a plane, and there was a man with a gun, and all the Beach Boys were already on the plane. And the man told Sandy that they were being kidnapped for lack of payment for the drugs that they bought. Now on the plane was Brian Wilson, Carl Wilson, Dennis Wilson, Mike Love, and Al Jardine, and Bruce Johnson. Now it's pretty well known at that time that Brian Wilson was still into coke. Carl Wilson was doing light drugs, but sometime in the late 70s he got addicted to heroin. Dennis Wilson was into coke and alcohol, but he was also a sexaholic. Mike Love was a vegan into transcendental meditation. Al Jardine and Bruce Johnson never did drugs, but apparently they had not paid their drug dealer, and their drug dealer was related to Pablo Escobar, at this time a rising kingpin in the drug world. So according to Sandy, there was a lot of threats and a lot of talk, and these two guys commandeered the plane, forced the pilot to take them to somewhere in Mexico. So after a short trip, they landed somewhere in Mexico where the threats continued, and apparently they went into a building where they called Pablo Escobar, who told them he was going to keep them until they paid. Apparently it was somewhere around $1 million. They allowed the Beach Boys to make some calls, and eventually some money was transferred somewhere, and the Beach Boys were allowed to leave, where they flew to Ann Arbor, Michigan, where the concert was to be the very next night. So here's where you're not sure if it's really real or not. I did find a review of the concert that said that on October 27th, 1978, at Chrysler Arena in Ann Arbor, the Beach Boys came out. They played California Girls, Sloop John B., Little Deuce Coupe, Do It Again, In My Room, and Back Home. So this is what's interesting about the review. Brian sang lead for the first third of the song before he abruptly ran off the stage. Now, you think about it, Brian was messed up psychologically at this time, and he had been very frightened by the whole Pablo Escobar escapade. So it makes sense to me that he might have done this, ran off the stage, because he hadn't recovered yet. True? Not true? We may never know. But it sure is a good story.